Hi, Linda. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm glad that you could come downtown. I know it's kind of hard to get down here and it's confusing with the big building and everything, so I'm glad you could come down and meet me.
Sure.
So I just wanted to meet with you about your son, who is placed with your dad right now. My job is, as a child protection social worker, is to work with you on hopefully reunifying you with your son. And in that, there's a lot of steps that we're going to have to go through, and there's going to be court hearings, and there's a lot that's going on, and I'll be with you the whole time to explain stuff to you. And I know that this is like a really, really tough situation, and no one wants to be here. But there's just a few things I want to go over with you first, and then we'll get going. So first is, although your son's in out-of-home placement right now, if you tell me stuff that is about things that have happened to him or even happened to you that are about your safety and his safety, I'm going to have to report it to my supervisor, and we'll have to see where to go from there. Because our ultimate goal is safety for you and for your son, and permanency for him and for you, and to get him back to your custody. So, that's just a disclaimer. I tell everyone that. It's not you specifically, Linda. It's everyone. And then also, I just want to let you know that there are things that we're mandated to do as child protection, such as have your son in out-of-home placement, have supervised visits. That's all stuff that's through the court, and it's not me personally that has control over it. But you ultimately have control over what happens with your son. And that's what my job is to help you with that. So do you have any questions about any of that?
I just want to get my son back. I'm a good mom, and I just want to get him back.
Yeah, I hear you, and that's what I would love to happen, is for you to get him back, and that's what we're going to meet about here today and see how we're going to make that happen. So why don't we start with you just telling me, in your words, why we're here. What happened that led your son to being with your dad?
Well, I had some things to do, and we've been kind of in some hard times right now, and so we've been living in my car, but we're okay. I mean, it's got heat and everything, so we're all right.
Right.
But I had to run and do some things, and so I left him in the car, and I left it running so that he'd still have the heat on, because I wanted to keep him safe. And so I just had to run out and take care of a couple things, and the police, I guess, found him, and then I was arrested. And so now I'm here.
Right. Okay, so when you were arrested, what were you arrested for?
They said that they thought that I was doing drugs at the time, and I've done them before, but I wasn't then. Like I just had to take care of a couple of things, and so but they said that I was, and so that's why they said they had to take Jason away. I mean, I'm happy that he's living with my dad and not in like some stranger's home or something, but but he belongs with me because I'm his son, or I'm his mom, and we're together, like we're meant to be together, and not like he's not supposed to be with my dad. He's not supposed to be raised by his grandpa. He's supposed to be raised by his mom.
Exactly. So what I'm hearing from you is that you and Jason living in your car right now? Is that what I'm understanding?
Just temporarily.
Temporarily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So and that's not a child protection issue. There's nothing, you can live in your car, and that's not an issue. So we don't have problems with that. But where the issue is that he is only 3, and so that if he does get left alone like that, even if you left the car on and you felt that you were keeping him warm, and because it's April and it's still freezing, so that's very responsible of you. And I think it's great that you were thinking about he's going to need to be warm and you had stuff to do, but he is not old enough to care for himself, and he can't be left alone. And
he was sleeping though, and so he didn't really need anything.
Right.
So.
And I get that, but if he woke up, I mean, you can't ensure that he's sleeping the whole time, and still he can't just. It is the way that it is, in such that he's little and he can't be left home by himself or in the car by himself. And I hear you that you want him to be home with you and you want to work on that. So let's move forward. We don't need to dwell on what happened. I just wanted to hear your side of it.
Okay.
And I appreciate that you were honest with me about that, and that you're honest about some things that have gone on. So from here forward, what is it that you think you're going to need to work on in order to be reunified with him?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm not really sure, because they just basically said that he couldn't be with me right now. So I'm not really sure what the heck is going on, because like I said, you know, I've done meth in the past, but like it's just like every once in a while for the fun of it. It's not like I'm an addict or anything, and so I don't really feel like that's an issue. And you already said that, you know, me living in a car isn't a child protection issue, so that's not it either. I mean, I want to find a job real bad, but that doesn't really have anything to do with him, you know. So
right. So what are you doing right now that you're able to provide basic needs for your son? How are you getting money?
Well, I've got food stamps and MFIP and that kind of thing, so I get support that way.
So you have a worker through MFIP then? So with MFIP, you're supposed to be working on finding a job. So have you been working with that worker on that?
A little bit. And I've had jobs in the past, but they just haven't worked out very much.
So in the past, when you have had jobs, what kind of jobs have you had? How did that go?
I mean, I've done some, you know, retail stuff. I worked at a gas station for a while and a restaurant for a while. So it's kind of been like all sorts of different things. I mean, nothing too interesting or anything like that, but they're just jobs, you know. But
you've been able to get jobs, and so that's good. I mean, you know what it's like to apply and to go through the process of getting a job. So is that something that you see you should be working on?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to get a job. I think that's important because I want to be able to provide for Jason.
And just so you know, I'm just going to be writing some of these things down. I have, you know, I report to the judge and I report to a lot of people, so I need to have records of what we say, and I want it to all be accurate. So I'm going to be writing some things down, but you can look at it. It's right here in front of you. It's no secrets, no anything like that. And I know that child protection seems like all this power and telling you how to live your life and taking your kids away, and that's like a big perception of it, and I get that. So I just want you to know that I'm going to be as honest with you as I can, and anytime I get information, I'm going to share it with you. And sometimes it's going to be like some crappy information, like, oh, the judge said no, but I want to keep that communication open with you so that you know that I'm doing my job and I'm trying really hard to help you. So in this, what's called the CHIPS petition, which is the Child in Need of Protective Services that we have from the judge, it says that your son Jason was placed with your dad because he was abandoned in the car and they were concerned about your drug use. Therefore, when I'm working with you, those are things that we have to address in order to work towards bringing him home to you.
Okay.
So I know that you said you have used meth in the past, but it's not, you don't see it as an addiction or a habit. And, you know, I can respect that because that's, you know, those are your feelings and it's your life. I can't tell you how you should feel about your life.
Right.
However, it is an illegal substance. Your child is only 3, and any child, doesn't matter what child it is cannot be cared for when their parent is under the influence of substances such as meth or cocaine or anything like that. So in the eyes of the judge and in child protection, that's something that we're going to want to address with you in order to bring Jason home to you.
Okay.
So would you be willing to do what's called a Rule 25, which is a chemical assessment? We could send you right across to HCMC or any place that's convenient for you. And they would you just talk with someone about how often you use and what it's like, and they do this whole assessment, and then they give recommendations for where you should go from there.
So do I have to do that in order to get Jason back?
Well, it's going to be one of the steps. That's something that if you choose not to do it, I can't tell you have to do something. Okay. But if you are wanting to work toward getting Jason back, you're going to need to address the issues that brought the case into us. And so, yes, to work towards getting Jason home, you're going to need to take these steps. But I can't tell you that you have to do them. You always have the choice to not do something.
Okay.
But if you do choose to not address your substance use, then it would be showing the judge that you're not working towards getting Jason back.
Well, and I want to get Jason. I mean, that's that's the only reason I'm here. You know? I mean, he's my son, and I love him, and I'm a good mom. You know,
right?
And so I mean, I guess I'll do it. I mean, I feel like you say it's a choice, but I mean, it's like either I do this or I don't have my kid. You know, and so it's like it's not much of a choice. You know?
It feels like an ultimatum. I hear what you're saying, and I mean, quite frankly, I agree with you in that it does feel that way, but I have to just present it to you that you do not have to cooperate and you don't have to do anything. But I've heard you say several times you just want your son back and you're a good mom, and I believe you. And I want to do everything I can to help you with that. And sometimes it's stuff that we don't necessarily think is necessary or want to do, but we got to do it anyways. So if you're willing to do a Rule 25, I'll set that up we can just do it with HCMC right across the street if that's okay with you. Yeah. And do you have transportation? You have your car, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do you have, how are you getting money for gas?
I tend to ask people for it. Sometimes my dad helps me out.
Okay. Well, let me talk with my supervisor. A lot of times we give bus cards to people, but since you do have your own transportation, we could look into getting you just a small amount of money to make sure that you can get to and from your appointments and all of that kind of stuff, because we don't want transportation to be a barrier for you.
That'd be nice.
So that's going to deal with that, and then after the Rule 25, we'll get recommendations from the person that does it, and they'll say, we recommend Linda do outpatient or do support groups or do inpatient. I can't tell you what they're going to say because I don't know right now. Okay. But just so you know, that'll be in the future, and then we're going to follow through with whatever that says, as long as you're willing to do it.
Okay.
So you said to me several times that you're a really good mom. So I want to hear about the good times that you have with Jason, and I mean, because you said you only use occasionally. So all the times that you don't use, how are your interactions and your relationship with Jason?
We have a really good relationship. He's such a good boy, and he's really polite to everybody, and we go to the park a lot.
Oh, good.
And he plays with friends, and we just have a good time. We're kind of two peas in a pod, and so and he's got a really good relationship with my dad too. Sometimes we just hang out with him, and we just kind of find things to do, and just we can kind of make fun anywhere, and so like I said, he's a really good boy, and he's very polite to everybody, and he minds his mom and does all that, so
that's good. So it sounds like you guys have a really good relationship, and you enjoy your time together, and he does too, and then also with your dad. So that sounds like a good relationship that you guys have together. Is there anything else that you feel that I can help you with, that we can work on? I mean, we really need to address the chemical stuff first, and that's kind of a priority for the department, and as that was one of the main reasons. And although I said it's not a child protection issue to be living in your car, because it's not, I mean, we can't punish people for not having a home. That's, you are providing for him, you're in the car. But do you think that housing would be something you would want to work on, getting just an apartment for the two of you, or?
I guess, but I don't know how I would afford it.
Right. So that goes back to kind of the employment piece. So you are getting MFIT, but I know that that's not very much money a month.
Yeah.
So you have that money. What does that money go towards, your MFIT money?
It just goes towards stuff we need,
Right.
and just, sometimes, sometimes I use it for gas or whatever, just anything we need. Because I got food stamps for food,
Right.
but it's, that can only go to the apartment. I got to, get clothes and everything, and diapers.
Exactly. So, as far as employment, have you tried anything have you been working on getting a job, or has it kind of been just secondary?
I mean, a little, I've been looking around a little bit. Like I said, I've had jobs before, and they just haven't worked out. And so I'm kind of I'm kind of worried that if I get another one, that one's not going to work out too. And so that's a little bit concerning. But I mean, I've been looking around. I just haven't found anything that feels right yet.
So have you applied, or you've been looking?
I've just been looking.
Okay. So you said you've had jobs in the past, but have any of them been anything that you really liked, that you were really interested in, or they were all just?
They're all just kind of jobs.
Okay.
I mean, people can be kind of anytime you're working at a gas station or restaurant where people are just kind of mean sometimes, and that's just kind of irritating. So I can only do that for so long,
Absolutely. Well, is there any sort of area that you're really interested in that you think what are you really passionate about? What do you do for fun? Like, anything that you could kind of incorporate?
Well, I mean, I figure since I'm such a good mom, I mean, I like helping people and I like working with kids sometimes, but like I just have my high school diploma. I don't have any other education or anything, so I don't feel like I could probably get any job. It's not like I could be a teacher or something, you know?
Right, but you shouldn't downplay the fact that you have your high school diploma because a lot of people don't, so that's really good. You have that going for you. And there is a lot that you could maybe start out volunteering somewhere to get some experience. Maybe you could go down to the community center and volunteer with the kids.
I wouldn't have anywhere to put my son though, you know, that's the thing, like I can't pay for daycare because that's really expensive too, you know.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I mean, right now he's with your dad.
Yeah.
So maybe in this interim time,
but I want to get him back. That's the thing, you know. So when I have him back, like, well, then what?
Right. Well, and then that's a valid concern, and that would be something we would have to look into with you. But I mean, since you're on MFIP and food stamps, you would qualify for child care assistance. So that's also something we could really look into.
Okay.
But I think as far as the main goal right now is for us, I mean, what are the presenting issues to start working towards getting Jason back with you? So we're doing the Rule 25. I'm going to set that up for you. And then, have you seen Jason since he's been placed with your dad?
No. That's awful.
Right. And it's been a few days. I know the hold hearing it just happened. And so I think if you want to see him, we'll work on setting up supervised visits for you. We're going to start with supervised. That's what the judge has ordered.
Okay.
And so I know that kind of stinks. You're going to have to come down to this building downtown, and we'll do them on the 7th floor, and I'll be in there with you.
Okay.
And it'll be 1 to 2 hours. I'll clarify with the judge because I'm not quite sure if it's 1 or 2 hours.
Okay.
But then that's your guys' time to spend together, and then hopefully as the case plan progresses and as time passes, you'll be able to see him more. So, how does that feel?
So, I mean, it's. I guess it's all right. I mean, it's not having him with me, you know, but it's okay.
It's something. It's a step in the right direction.
Yep.
Well, and I want to compliment you. You came down here. You've been very honest with me, and you're really willing to work with me. And I feel that those are all really good things. And if you continue to just do the work, then we can get him back home with you. And that's what you've said several times is very important to you. So, what we're looking for overall is for you to do your Rule 25, follow through with those recommendations, and then we're going to want to work with you on just making sure that you have support within your life to help you so that you're not using meth. Even if it's just every once in a while, we can't have that. I mean, it is illegal. It's not an environment that is safe for children. And we really would like to see you working on housing. I mean, I can't tell you that you have to live in a house, but it would be something that we would look for, you know, to show that you're working on it and working towards employment. And we can also work in collaboration with your MFIP worker. Do you have anyone else in your life that you feel would be helpful?
I mean, my dad's helpful. I mean, obviously he's got Jason right now, you know, but I mean, he's really busy. He's got a bunch of stuff going on too, so it's like I don't want to like burden him more than, you know, than he already is. So that's really it, though.
Right. So no friends or any informal people, just neighbors maybe, or, you know, people that you've worked with in the past?
Not really. I mean, I got a couple of friends, but I know you said that, like, the meth was not good, even if it's every once in a while. They do meth, and so I'm not sure that you'd think they were probably the best people for me to be hanging out with.
Right.
So, but that's really about it. I mean, I don't really, those are my friends.
So maybe when we talk about goals, you know what a goal is. Do you know what a goal is? Yeah. Okay. So if we talk about goals for you, maybe a goal for you could be to work on having a support network. Do you think that would be something you would want?
I mean, it's always good to have friends, you know?
Right. And maybe some sober friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think when we do this Rule 25, the recommendations, whatever they may be, hopefully we can build in some, there'll be people there that you can meet, that you connect with. I know a lot of people who, when they go through treatment, whether it be outpatient or groups or AA or whatever, even just to get a sponsor, that's a person that you have.
Okay.
So I think that would be beneficial for you if that's what you want.
Sure.
So if you are going to say your goals, and I'm going to write these down because I want to know what you want. I've told you what the department is focusing on, but I want to know what you want.
I mean, all I really want is to have Jason back with me all the time.
Right.
And I want to find a job.
And find a job. Okay. Find a job. And you're not picky about what kind of job it is. It sounds like you haven't really connected with one another.
Yeah, no, I don't really care. It's just as long as I can it pays the bills, you know?
Okay. So your primary goals are to get Jason back and to find a job. Well, those are definitely things that you and I can work on together, as well as teaming with your MFIP worker. And then we're also going to have what's called a child services worker, who is going to be Jason's worker specifically. So she'll be going out and visiting Jason at your dad's house every week, checking in on him, making sure he's okay, and tailoring to any needs that he may have. And so we're also going to bring her in whenever we have meetings, just so we can see how Jason's doing. Is there anything we think we need to address? But it sounds like you guys have a really good relationship, and he has a good relationship with your dad, and that's where he is. So I think that he's in a really good place. And then I also will go out once a month and meet with him and your dad just to check in. But you and I are going to be meeting weekly. I know that kind of sounds like a lot.
How long does that have to go on for?
Well, it's going to go on for a while. I can't give you an exact timeline because we just had what's called the Emergency Protective Care Hearing, which is EPC, which was the hearing for why Jason was put into your dad's home. And then we're going to have a pre-trial hearing coming up in 90 days. So we have from now until that pre-trial hearing to see progress that's going on with you. And in that time, I'll be seeing you once a week.
Okay.
So then we'll kind of have to see where things go from there. But the goal is to get child protection out of your life. I mean, you don't want to have to see me every week. You probably don't want to ever have to see me. But in order to do that, we're going to have to work on the steps that we've identified today. So for now, I'm going to, right after we're done meeting, I'm going to call and set up your Rule 25. I'll let you know when that is. And then I'll meet with you the same time next week, and we'll go over the next steps and start working on bringing in your MFIP worker and see what kind of supports we can get for employment for you. And then hopefully housing will follow after that.
All right.
So are there any further questions that I can answer for you for right now?
No, I don't think so. Can I call you? Like if I.
You can call me anytime, and this is I'm gonna write down my number for you, and you can call me anytime. I always have my BlackBerry on, and you can even text me. I have texting.
Okay.
So if you want to text me, email me, anything, you can get a hold of me, and we're gonna set up those visits so you can see Jason.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Well, thanks for coming in, and I'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.